I paced around the hospital hall, anxious for a doctor to give me good news or bad news. I kept biting my nails until it came to the nub, then I switched to another finger. I nearly panicked like 3 times out here. Why won't the damn doctor hurry up? My mother works here, and as soon as she heard that I was here, she was worried. Lucky for her, I wasn't the one injured. Paramedics managed to get to the house in time to revive Ian. He's not dead anymore, but I hope his injury isn't so bad. My mom will be his nurse from now on until his recovery, if he does recover from this. I kept panicking until I heard the door open. I looked over and Ian's room was open. A woman with her hair in a bun and glasses came up to me and gave me a small smile. I couldn't return the favor, so I did nothing. She pursed her lips and said, "Are you Elizabeth Umber?" I nodded, and she said, "Well, Elizabeth, your friend is fine, and he'll be alive for that matter." I took a sigh of relief and put my hand on my chest. But, the doctor said, "his condition is critical. He'll be in the hospital for a while." How long will a while be?" I asked with a hint of concern in my voice. She sighs and says, "I'm not entirely sure. All we know is that he won't be ready to leave anytime soon." I nodded and looked at the wall next to us. I can't get the image out of my head. The sight of his injury. It was disturbing. More disturbing than the sight of the Rottweiler's body being torn up by Smile. Who could have possibly done that to Ian? Or what? I have to think everything through now, that I know there are things out there. I look at the doctor and ask, "What's the big deal with his injury?" She shifted in her spot as if it would be uncomfortable to talk about for her. "Something like that makes the doctor uneasy, then it isn't good." She takes a deep breath and says, "Well, he'll be undergoing some surgery for sure. And he might have to get a transplant." Transplant? Transplant? I said, the thought nearly choking me. She nodded and I asked, "Why?" "Well," she said, "the wound seemed as if the attacker was specifically going for his organs. This guy might have been a professional considering how precise the cutting was. But Ian's organs aren't out of place. They're right where they're supposed to be. Unfortunately, one of his kidneys was right in the line of the wound. It was damaged somehow, and that is why he was needing a transplant. The damage is too much, so he won't be able to keep it. So as soon as we find a donor, we'll immediately put him through surgery. His wounds will be able to get stitched up, so everything will be done, and he'll be fine. He'll be back on his feet after that." I didn't like the idea of going through surgery, but if it means he'll be okay, then I'll have to deal with it. And the thought of the attacker actually intending on gutting him sickens me. I shiver slightly, and the doctor puts a gentle hand on my shoulder. That made me feel better, and I said, "Can I see him now?" She gave me a sad look and shook her head. "Sorry, Elizabeth," she said, "but he's resting right now, and the other doctors are working on him. But maybe tomorrow. I think he'll be ready to be seen by noon." "Good," I muttered. "I'll come back right after school. Thank you, ma'am." She smiles and says, "You're very welcome. Don't fret. He's in good hands here. We'll be sure to bring him back to health." I nodded, and she gives me one last smile and walks back into Ian's room. I held myself and shivered in the hall. At least he'll be all right. I'm going to miss him while he's gone. I actually want that knucklehead to mess with me right now. I need a bit of cheering up, and I'd really like to see him happy right now. He needs it. My dad came to pick me up in the hospital, and he took me home. The drive was silent, but the strained look on his face was containing his worry. I ignored everything during the drive. I blocked out the world as my mind was focused on Ian. I couldn't help but worry about him. Like the doctor said, he was in good hands. I trusted them to help him. However, when they get a new kidney for him, it makes it... hopefully, when they get a new kidney for him, it makes it through the surgery. I closed my eyes for a few minutes, and eventually I feel the car stop, and I knew we were home. Police and paramedics are gone. All that's left is yellow caution tape around the front yard. We walk through and get inside the house. My dad nearly jumped out of his skin when he saw the blood-covered kitchen floor. I knew we'd both have to clean it up. I looked around the house. Everything was intact. Nothing stolen nor broken. There was a trail of blood along the stairs where I was carrying Ian down here. I avoided the blood and made my way upstairs. The trail came to my room and I walked in. On my bedroom floor was a wide pool of dark blood. It was practically everywhere, so unavoidable. I looked at my window, or at least what's left of it. The glass breaking sound I heard before Ian was attacked was probably the attacker breaking the window. Now I could feel the cold air coming in. There was glass everywhere on the floor, and I have to clean this up too. I sigh and go downstairs and get some of the cleaning supplies. I could see that my father is already cleaning up the kitchen. I decide to help him since he's already doing work on it. I could tell he didn't want to clean it up, especially since it's blood. He's sickened by it. He wouldn't last the blood drive. It took us at least an hour to clean up the kitchen, and it'll probably take us another to clean the stairs, maybe another to clean my room too. This is going to take a long while. This sucks. After a few hours, the place and the walls clean of blood. I sighed and rubbed my brow. My dad came up to me and said, "Hey, baby girl, I'm gonna go back to the hospital and maybe talk to Ian's parents. Be safe while I'm gone. I don't want you to be the one who gets hurt next. It's sad enough for me that your friend is hurt. Your mother and I would be devastated if you were next." I nodded and he hugged me tightly. He brushed my hair and kissed my forehead before taking off. As soon as he closed the door, I felt so alone. I wanted someone here to comfort me, to hold me, soothe me, protect me, and love me. I feel guilty. I feel like this is all my fault. If only I hadn't invited Ian over, then maybe this wouldn't have ever happened. I want to go back to my room, but it's cold in there and I don't think I'll be able to stand being in there. I'm scared to go in there. I'm afraid that the attacker will come back and hurt me as well. I started to cry and I curled into a ball on the couch. I lied there for a while and eventually I cried myself to sleep. I woke up feeling someone rub my back gently. I took a shaky breath and looked up to see a wide smile. Jeff smirked and softly said, "Hey there, sunshine." I blinked and said nothing. I sat up and looked at him. Without thinking, I hug him violently and hold on to him like my life depended on it. I sobbed into his shoulders and hugged him more. I didn't want to let go. I just wanted somebody to help me through this. I don't care who it is. I just want help, even if it's Jeff who will do it. I feel him hug me back, tightly, practically crushing the air out of me. Frankly, I don't care at this point. I felt his steady breath against my neck and I dug my face deeper into his hoodie. "It's okay," he said in his deep, raspy voice. "Everything is fine. I'm here. You'll be all right." I sobbed one last time and raised my head to look at him. "I hope so," I croaked. He gave me a sympathetic look and rubbed my head. I felt a whole lot better now. I calmed down and managed to say, "What happened? Who was that guy trying to kill Ian?" Jeff went quiet and I didn't say a word. I sighed and sat next to him quietly. "Please tell me," I pleaded. Jeff shook his head and said, "Can't. Sorry, Ellie, but I have a feeling that you'll find out eventually." I got worried. I don't think I want to figure out who this person was or what it was. I just want this to stop. The only other monster I want in my life is Jeff and Smile. I can handle them. I don't know about the other guys, though. I shouldn't try convincing Jeff to tell me what I need to know. He may be a dumbass jerk, but he's stubborn as well. He won't give up that easily. I bet he won't give up at all. He's just that stubborn. I sigh and sit in silence with him. I don't know what to do. I'm bored again. I fidget around a bit and look at the clock in the kitchen. It's 5. I wonder when my dad will get back from the hospital. He didn't tell me a time, which means I'll have to be on guard for him. If he sees Jeff, he'll either freak out or try to kill him, but Jeff is so fast, so if my dad tries coming in, he can escape. But I'm pretty worried. I cross my arms and frown when Jeff speaks up. "Hey, wanna watch a movie?" I shrugged, but he went ahead and took it as a yes. He chuckled and got up. He leaped over the coffee table and landed perfectly, crouching in a crouching position in front of the movie cabinet next to the TV. He opened it up and looked through the shelves for a good movie to watch. He suddenly laughed maniacally as he pulled out a movie and showed me the cover. It was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 one. I never liked that movie. It's a great movie. It really is. The plot is nice. The scenes are played out well, and the killing scenes are very well detailed. But I don't like it because it's based on a true story. Well, partly true anyways. The true tale is as disturbing as the movie itself. It's no wonder they changed it up a bit, but it still freaks me out. "What you say, sunshine?" he teases. I sigh and agree to watch it, and he chuckles. He puts the movie in and he jumps back on the couch with me. I could tell he's super excited about this movie. Of course he is. He's a killer as well. He must take joy and interest in other murders. That sick bastard. The opening scene of the movie started, and it told the real story. I heard this version is really hard to find. All the other ones are pretty crappy. My parents say that this is the best one, and I agree with them. And then the words faded and showed the rotting bodies. I knew they were fake, but it still disturbed me. Immediately as another rotten body appeared, Jeff asked, "You scared yet?" He was mocking me. I huffed and said, "No, that doesn't scare me. I've seen worse in other movies." He laughed and said, "Sure." I rolled my eyes and watched the movie. After a while of watching it, I had to say that I'm freaked out again. I'm at that horrifying scene where that girl named Sally is dining with Leatherface's family and sitting in a chair made out of human body parts. I didn't want to look any longer, so I closed my eyes, but the sound of her screaming and the family's laughter made me even more disturbed. I opened my eyes, but I regret it as the screaming got louder, and they did a close-up on Sally's terrified, sweaty, strained face. I just stopped watching it altogether and buried my face in the throw pillow. Jeff would laugh every time someone screamed or died. He's such a freak. The movie eventually ended and I sat in silence, shivering. I'm a fragile girl, don't judge me. I pouted and Jeff laughed. You all right there, sunshine? You don't look too happy. I gave him a look and said, Why would I be happy after watching that scary and very gory movie? I'm not a killer like you. You don't have to be a killer to be happy watching people die, he said. I glared and said, Yeah, I'd have to be mental as well. He rolls his eyes and puts on some regular TV shows. We sat in silence again. I was still a bit shaken by the movie. I was about to get up and go to the bathroom when Jeff shouts, sudden suffocation, and forces a pillow to my face. I flail my arms around and kick my legs. I manage to pry his arm away and yell at him, "What the hell, you idiot? What are you thinking you're doing?" He pressed the pillow onto my face again and I struggled. "He's messing around with me." I pry my arms away again and yell, "No, Jeff, stop! Stop! Jeff!" He cackles and puts the pillow on my face again. I pry his arms off again and grab another throw pillow, and then I yell, "Counterattack! Sudden suffocation!" and push my pillow against his face. He chuckles and we spend a couple of minutes practically trying to kill each other. I was laughing so much, I leaped on him and hit him with my pillow. He grins and started poking my face rapidly. I turn away, but he starts to tickle me. I burst into laughter and he wouldn't stop. "No, Jeff," I exclaimed, "stop." "No, that tickle, stop it. I'm gonna pee. Oh my God, stop. I can't take it anymore." He's laughing, but not as much as I was. Then I smack him with a pillow so he would stop, but he does the same to me. After a couple seconds, I realized we were leaning too far off the couch and we fell off. A stray pillow fell on my face and I moved aside. Once I did, I saw Jeff above me. He was on top of me and we just stared at each other. This was extremely awkward considering how close we were right now. One more inch and our faces would have been right against each other. He wouldn't get off me, which made the situation even worse every passing second. I gulped and stared at his smile. Without realizing it, I had raised my hand to touch it. He didn't seem to mind, though. He let me. He didn't even flinch when I traced it with my fingers along the edge. I grazed his cheek, then his bottom lip, and then the other side of his face. Then I just said, "Why'd you do it?" He gave me a puzzled look and said, "Do what?" "Cut into your face," I said. He went quiet and looked away from me. Without looking back, he said, "Because I didn't like how I looked, so I cut myself. Beautiful. I was a monster, and now I'm who I've wanted to be since I became revolting." "But then why did you burn off your eyelids?" I asked him. "You should be blinded by now without blinking your eyes. You can't function without any moisture. How is it that you can still see?" He shrugs and says, "I don't know, but I burnt them off so I could always see myself, the new me." "That's unhealthy." "That's just how I am," he says. I give him a concerned look and he sighs. "Don't give me that look, all right? It makes me uncomfortable." I chuckle and say, You aren't uncomfortable killing people?" He smirks and says, "Like I said, that's just how I am. I'm a badass mofo." "More like jackass mofo," I remarked, and he frowned and said, "I'll squish you." "And how will you do that?" Before I finished the sentence, he stopped holding himself up and he dropped on me. Damn, he was heavy. Okay, I take back what I said," I croaked. "Good. I should have corrected myself and said, fat-ass mofo." He growled and put more weight on me. I groaned and smiled. "Totally worth it," I cackled. Eventually he got off me and we sat back down on the couch. I looked at the clock. It's 9 o'clock now. Dad isn't back home yet. I don't think he'll be back in a while. I decide to take a shower. I tell Jeff and he says with a smirk, "Need me to help you wash?" I glared at him and called him a pervert. I go to take a shower. Unfortunately, I don't normally take my clothes in with me. I just wrap a towel around me and go into my room. God, I'm an idiot. I carefully walk out my way to my room and I hear Jeff yell, "If you could drop that towel, it would be great." I frown and say, "No." I quickly walk into my room and lock the door. I change, then come out brushing my hair. I go downstairs and see Jeff putting blanket and some fluffy pillows on the couch. I walk up to him and ask, what are you doing? He smiles and says, I'm spending the night. I deep breath and say, there are so many things wrong with what you just said. You cannot stay here. My father could come back at any time, and if he catches you, we are both in trouble. He won't be back until morning, he said, and I know this 'cause you left your phone down here. He texted you saying he won't be back, so I took the pleasure of replying with a simple, okay. I roll my eyes and mutter, whatever, just don't screw anything up tonight. I start to walk in the kitchen when he grabs me and pulls me down on the couch. I yelp and he puts his arm around me, then leans in and whispers hoarsely, why don't you go to sleep with me? I go wide-eyed and poke his face out of annoyance. No, I said, but he didn't listen. He then pulled the blanket over us and held me. I blushed and struggled to get out, but he just giggled and held me tighter. I eventually gave up trying and lied there with him. I could feel his face buried into the back of my neck. It made me shiver, but I managed to get used to him being so close like this. His chest rise and fall against my back. His hands were holding me firmly. I don't think I will fall over tonight, I sigh, and just face the fact that I'll have to go to sleep like this. I close my eyes and whisper to a sleeping Jeff out of politeness. Good night. He didn't reply, of course, and I fell sound asleep. It's strange how I'm sleeping in a killer's arms. And what's also strange? That I'm sleeping in my protector's embrace as well. But I have to say, deep down, it's pleasing.